by Mount Meru, the four continents, sun and moon, visualizing this as the pure realm of Buddhas, its offerings made. May all beings realize this perfectly pure realm. The wishes of all sentient beings and their various intellectual capacities are satisfied and fulfilled according to the lesser, greater, common, and extraordinary paths. Therefore, I beseech you to turn the Dharma wheel accordingly.
Sanje tam jejeng o eritanjin khorjam su chabda kadin somba mi be pangon tin lama tambe shebje de mami balang ko rabde de ko be son za jin je sen ju jesin je la baran je de so ninje jimbo su de ni me de se ne monam jimbo ngabja da be ga dharma jin de sen me do tumba tu je jin lang ge san sa ya wo min ju jin je po do ne de som san je kun je ngo ni ya ran sim chi kun sum dong je ba za ba lam me shab la so wa in de yon de san je kun da nyam na ya ga din san je kun ye la ben kun za ba lam me shab la so wan de en ro lo dam be chu la je wa in ze kan da sob je dong kun je din na de she lo mar je ba kan so da den de den be chu jen chen be je sim ban de ba dam chen de she na ma ya dam ba la ye ke da lo dan ni jin ke atum da dam me ki nam da han ro kun je da ke che sam ba tham je ke de da ke chu den do ta tre nga sun de la yan ja chu ten je go sun ju song yu de xi den de zhen ne bei gao xiong song xi.
So we'll have another session of Dharma teaching, which I'm really happy about.
La wa de ren bei me mang bo ji le bia xi. Ani de de zhen ne mixer gao xiong xi ta.
I'm especially happy to see the really good turnout tonight.
Ta de de den nga zu mixer ge chu la mixer sinada ngui ji ge chu la kharjang ngomagen cho doni gor den de ji kharjang den de ji cha yi se de dambo cha yi la bomba ni gor xi le ge cha yi ji den de se de yin ne da den me mang bo ji de len zom de yu de de zan ne ne de se ju ji dang ne san ba dang yin ji de gor san da yin ji de gor den de ji man do de ji xu na san.
As for the main topic this evening, I think that we had talked about selflessness, emptiness as being the topic, but with so many people here this evening, I think I want to change it a little bit to focus mainly on compassion and love.
Ani mixer ge go ni ta khachang ge ni mo de forgiveness ka se forgiveness kale forgiveness said our forgiveness said the teaching la khachang ki de sa de ta de nga chi be ge chu be la de ji tu chin de sung zhi xia ge tu chin sung zhi xia mixer ji yo ma de yin ne di chek de be ya bo ji ye de be ge ta be ne ji xiao ba dang de yi ba se an de ji ani gong da gonda tukte na wa se ya da ji gonda tukte na se ya da da den de ji se ya de ge do wa chek den de ji yue de xi.
So I know we've had this this holiday recently, focusing on forgiveness, and I think that's a very good idea. We don't have that holiday in Tibet, but it's a very nice thing to be able to tell someone you're sorry for something, to be able to be humble enough to apologize for something.
And this ane de ta ti ko de ma xie de gong na dang le nam ji chu xie de ga se hun ro ji da mu ji ji ni de ji xie ge yu xi
Usually when I teach, I emphasize that there's a preliminary stage before we move into the main topic.
아니 다들은 의식이 취라 삼바다 인지 또니 너르지세 저도 삼바다 인지 되고 마 다 윤지 만보지 여대잖아 내라오지는 마치 쉬나 삼성 의식이 취되라 삼바다 인지 되는 거지.
So our main subject again will be love and compassion. I think it's a little bit more approachable than the emptiness and selflessness topic, but maybe we'll deal with that a bit.
아니 딱 의식이 취돼 마용은 흔한 흔적이 취되게 개침벌이 자요. 대간들이시나 취 의식을 장 흔적 삽시네 같이 배그나 취나나. 의식이 취돼 의식이 돼 의식이 취돼 취 양다과지는 로고요나 흔적이 취돼 개침벌이지. 그래서 거요.
So the preliminary stage now is very important, I think. We have a saying in Tibetan that the preliminaries are even more profound than the main practice, or the main practice that you're doing, whatever that might be. Because whether the main practice is pure or effective or far-reaching or not, that really depends upon the preliminary stage. What kind of intention and so on is it approached with? That really determines the quality of what's done in the main practice.
애도 전에 딱 구농해야 돼. 즉 개침보지를 추 의제대 추 야보지 차고에나 구농 잠복 지시네 빼는 아쫓다다 지난 전만 망보지 되는 좀 요리 nga 될 요리 지난 쪽에 nga 그 산이 추셔가 요리 내 추시가 요리 대 개와대 빼마스 개사 침보지리 빼추 침보지리 대추 넘버 다바지를 차고요나 다 삼모지 땅도 남건 타단 얌베심지 탐지 랑라와 아니 대완도 봐 랑라와 동하면 돼 지바이 마 대 동해가 나데 베심지 대남지 치드 내 추리 쇼기 추슈바더니 자 아니 냠내시네 아니 니마들에니 정도 인동 코나가 치더니 뭐라게 냠내시기 인상봐 남자든 준네 아니 추도 슈바이나 아니 추도 특바지 비추를 하여지.
So therefore our motivation is what's most important. Our intention is what determines how the main practice goes, what its effectiveness is, what its purity is. And so if the main practice is to be that of the Mahayana, the great way teaching of the Buddha, then the kind of intention we need to bring to it. I mean, we've come here for the purpose of a Dharma teaching. You know, you're wanting to hear something from me, some kind of spiritual guidance, and I'm here to give that. And so it's a very powerful act. It's something that carries a lot of weight. And so what determines the direction that it goes is our intention, our motivation. So with our motivation, let's set the motivation now that for the sake of all life throughout the universe, who is just like myself, not wanting to experience suffering and problems, wanting to experience peace and happiness, that it's for this purpose, for the happiness of all living beings, that I want to listen to this teaching. That's the reason I'm here, and not only to hear it, but to implement it and put it into practice from this day on. Again, solely for the sake of all living beings, of all happiness of all living creatures throughout space. So set that motivation.
벨나 딱 특바 충을 추세낸다. 딱 군홍 삼박에 매왕도 손네. 딱 용메시바 말이 벨나 딱 나다기 추시가 요리 시리 값소양 딱 추시에도 지 이는 데 셈당 아니 차도당 Any ching Ajala soba. Then the chi you yin the any tea ganima, desa ganima, Chushebaina, Unung Nimba on the Swa in the Zane. Should take children to Julia Pink you marry, Malayan Pink you marry. That children to that need Nimba Caps in the Nimba Caps young. That children's okay. That's so suchi, Cindy, Do, any Yinda, any Thompson La Sopa. And the town, any social neta, Nata La Sopa, any Tsongda, Pesha La Sopa. Cindy's all at the Laborani, Cubits all at the Chunibaina. And it should have children to Julia Pink you marry, Malayan should have Pink you marry. The legend. 공도시바 난시 라리 또 마탐나야 삼바데게 남콘 타더냐면 심지 탐지기 치등에 취디 니기 니바 난징에 라니 또기 삼바 담자 든듯이 야는 니바이나 심데 디 삼로데 게브 삼로데 법침보 인데 자네 산초그 심는 데와 이데 자네 아니 지난주 니샤바데야 기타 침부질에 차가 요시.
So if I were to have some other lesser kind of intention, motivation behind my teaching of feeling proud or feeling like I want to compete with other teachers or gain something in that way, then it wouldn't be beneficial for me to give any kind of teaching. It wouldn't help your mind to hear it. And and you listening to the teaching, likewise, if you have some more short-sighted kind of intention or motivation that is more focused on the material things like food and clothing, or making a name for yourself or something like that, or wishing just to get over some pain, something temporary, some sickness, or to be successful in business or something like that. Again, it wouldn't be appropriate. It wouldn't be fitting for what the main teaching is about. And so, better than that, to set that motivation as I was describing, it's completely altruistic. And even if we can't do it right now, to even just listen. With that intention, that this be for the benefit of all beings throughout space, and the intention to practice it for that purpose, then it makes it extremely powerful, our act of listening and attending to the teaching.
Nangchen Adeu simji ta che any dewan de che marang dewa de dimbe tapsi de ngai chigi donghe da tan che marang donghe da jali tapsi ngai chigi dambe chu khonal de ngai chigi samba de simji de nana ini zumi ki ninji chi endechi machi ke pad kalma chi ni si ji la ni gomja hyosi.
So I usually like to meditate for a bit on the intention that we're setting in the preliminary stage. And so let's do that, thinking about all the life throughout space, throughout the universe, and how wonderful it would be if all beings could experience happiness, just wishing it could be that way. And contemplating the suffering of living beings, wishing that they could be free of that, picturing it how it would be if beings were free of suffering. And it's very good to work your mind into a state where it feels it's unbearable, when it feels that suffering that beings are going through in this world and everywhere. So meditate until you get to that point where it feels really unbearable to the extent of the suffering. So that's our preliminary stage. Now we'll move into the main talk. The main subject, love and compassion. I want to talk about that briefly. So all life seeks happiness, even down to insects, ants. They may not be able to express it like the animals, but it's the same for all living beings.
Dati Deva de Duli Tapshi Kandachi Shigorishina, Tablamte, Deva Yang Tabate, Tangachu Chu Lamnat Ine, any social sim Jujutane. Tadang around Lo Maromba, Lo Nimba, any Samba Nimba, Diwang the Sone, any Nasola Donghayomari. Nachu Dumete, Mejimba chicken Asola Yalato, Mechicken Asola, Nuchi Andachi, Suamari. Nachu Dunga the Kadis Songaresina, Nachu Dungete, Naranguzugaji, when a dodgy Tanilang and Golajuna, social don Golajuna, and Nata Malapa, or the end of Chisene, social Zugaji. This also.
So the way to happiness is internal transformation of the Dharma, of a spiritual path. Because the source of our problems and sufferings is having a mind that's out of control, a mind that's afflicted, an inner state of being that is deluded, it's of a negative sort. And we may think sometimes that our problems are created by forces outside of ourselves. Their suffering is created by someone else, our problems. But in fact, our problems arise from within us, from having afflicted states of mind, deluded states of mind, our own mind being out of control.
That long in ba, Marang Zugaji did Lotte, Marang Rang the Juchitanya Lemato, young Majimba chick, Sinapse, Tangachi Gavgose, Wang Nang. The legisene, Magic Huna Yon, the Dege Ma, Netanata Sama Langs one the chick. The listening young American, Kansina, Sosu Soso Zugaji, the Sosu Sosoke, should that on the Sosu.
So we're the ones that must change ourselves. We're the only ones that can transform our own being, our own mind. It's not possible through someone else just blessing us. In the Tibetan tradition, we have empowerments, initiations. It can't happen just through someone giving us some kind of empowerment. Since we are the ones who have created the problems by our own negative states of mind, we're the ones that need to remedy it.
The day in the Jane, that long in Bewang the Sonate, Samba Madang, Samba Zambo Mene, and the Sancho Shemka dog solar sona, that Darden but dancing Zusene, any Mella, Najer, Trado, any that Niebu, to two last of rinsen chado la so ba dende chige jinza la tine ni donga de somara.
Now, when we have opposite states of mind, from what is to be developed in Dharma, like anger and hatred, and we fight with others, then this, of course, leads to lots and lots of problems and suffering, more and more suffering, doesn't it?
Today this ane tanga ji sa chip sim se ate ta tele rewa si ate be mas ke chi morich ta monam jam ne rewa si ate.
So the great altruism of the mind called bodhicitta, mind of enlightenment, is really the highest form of love and compassion and altruism. And so that's where we want to focus our attention, our primary efforts and hopes towards developing that kind of universal love.
Bena bena china na de je samba zang na sada la ya zang samba ngi na sada la ya ngi tham je samba ta la ra le be tak par samba zang la ni tin sa sia chi.
So there's a saying, a quotation in Tibetan, that if the intentions are good, the way will be good. If the intentions are bad, the way and the destinations will be bad. Everything depends on our intentions. So always put great emphasis and care into one's intentions.
The name is Jane. Ta Golisheba Nanjimba. Ta Narang goes on the Samba Zambochi Siate, Mela Kapa Martin, Rangla Kat to Nanglatin. Rang Nangla Sama down there. Ta Rang Juchitan, Tambon go, Narang go around the Zone, and the Juchitan the Cajun Boris.
So when we listen to these teachings and apply them, the attention is to be turned inward. We're not looking outward at others, judging others, but rather we're looking at our own inner state of being. So we need to begin with ourself, become self-sufficient ourself.
That the name just a shiva lake, the Regison Yuri. Roa Simchin Sama, Devan Deba Chipari, Doham and Deba Chiparis. Devan Deba Chipari, Doham and Deba Chipari, the Yina Yang, Devan Duna Yang, Deva Karimba Titola, Hoyo Maris, Dumela and Juguris, Pena. Sema lepsi yoa, but you are then Mamma Goel and Chumba Nanjin, Kora Sema le Mamma Goel and Betting Chumba Nanjin, and it don't hear Koranganana, Chunga Yuris. That don't hear Dege yo married, don't hear the Sarshigi yo marriage. That same the Sayata, same the Sanjutan, Lapa Leani, she do the Lanin it, and it's Singelot. Singelot Chaka Yuris, the Regison.
So as the Master Shantideva explains, although all living beings wish to experience happiness and don't want suffering, they don't know how to go about accomplishing the happiness that they're looking for, or to avoid the suffering that they don't want, and instead destroy the happiness that they're seeking and run full on into the suffering that they don't want, just like a moth, falling into a flame. Rinpoche gave the example also before about when he said that it's not others that create our problems, it's that inner deluded state of our own mind that creates our suffering. If we took a rock and just hit ourselves over the head, then we would we would be doing it, wouldn't we? So it's like that we're the ones that create this suffering for ourselves.
Kare. Hello. Any that the Pena sosu juju dance at the back kale kaboris. Ngaran juju dance at.
To change ourselves, to transform ourselves is something difficult. To really bring change within ourselves. It's not easy.
Pena rangola tave melongs. Tadang archi dombala melongi and this is shergoltina. Ko melon pin dombalan zopopin chon tonguyura. Jingola tawake. Much learned it now, called Gigi, called Sama, Juncha Sama, Colin Dosine. Tangaranga, Junchat and Tongoyuma, Naranga, Junchat and Tongona, Melon Jigan and Donna, and you don't but the Jetawajin and Tongoyurimato, they mean and Tongoyumara. Then Tongaripate, Tangachu Junde, Nachu Linsine. Tango, Anan to do, Tamatama can add Jumi in Nalachi Zupoyo, Nala Nambayo, and Nala Juyo. Ngale la sa chi pache zambele ne yo mari samsan da chi ta mamma bo chi te sam no de yuri tende de chane pache tende inju mari sang do sosu la ta che sia de sosu la ni mari re yin de shu da dang ne ngarang tren gare che do tanan sho ga ya lang ni ta pa de ne gare che do sawa le ga gare che do sam lo kan de dang do lu nga yi sung ga ge go sung ge ju ba de shu da dang ne Any sosu juju down, sosu lam tola yan. Bena tangni much mahasa, Jisona, con Jisani Gamba Yetsun, but ya langora. Tina Yinsene, sosu juju down, sosu Gun Royal Kitchen Boris.
So we will go around through our day, looking at others, and we see problems, faults in others. But what we really need to be looking more is in a mirror, to really, check ourselves. We don't tend to do that, and when we do tend to look in the mirror, we don't see faults. When we look at others, we see faults and problems. So many people tend to go around that way, I think, pretty unconsciously, thinking of themselves as quite faultless, and thinking, oh, I have this and that, I have everything I need, and I'm probably about the most luckiest person in the whole world. But think of themselves as faultless, very proud. And so it takes another kind of attitude to really examine ourselves. I think it's much more advisable to not be like that, but to check our actions every day, looking into how we've spoken and acted physically and our thoughts, and to correct ourselves. When we see problems, we see that we have acted in ways that hurt others, or we're very unskillful, or something like that. So to take responsibility for this, if we fall on the ground, then we're the ones that have to pick ourselves up. So I think it's very important to constantly be involved in self-examination and in improving ourselves.
Ate le lawo chi me de kadam be ge bi shin yin nan be kan de chin nang ga dok sina samba zambo ta samba ngi ma de ju chi tan de din kal ma de ta de ta ngi nam ju de yang si xie do kal po ten de chi de la de kal po ten de mang po chi ya de la de kal na po ten de chi ya ani din kal ma ani chok se de ne samba ngi ba ani chi rang chi pan jin ba la so pa ten de ge chi samba ngi ba la so pa ta ten de chi to ba nam to juen de ka so de na po re ya any samba carbo, Sancho Simta, any Jindo to Nicolola, so Patoni Tawa, the Nicotia and the capsule, any dear carboreja. The Nessin goes to Godoa, the Nessin and the capsule, Tambu capsule, any Divin Napo Chanjanemato, Carbochi Mahep. Any tal lot of dawa, Nimata Nima, Dawata dawa, lot of law, the Negis in that Gom Jamna. That Gomba my combine Sigura, Gomsiate. 다당 가서 롱 힘도 솔란데시 공소라 다때 당부 솔란데시 대처 주시 당도 아니 고미야요 곰도 자네 아니 간참지 지니 대외 깔보다 나쁜이 된다냐 아니 유거리도 대외 나쁜 지가 매네 아니 깔보 깔장 근데시네 냠네 나가요라.
So to work on this inner transformation, the ancient Kadampa masters of Tibet to observe and notice what kinds of thoughts were going through their mind. They would make a pile of as I've talked about this before, some of you have heard it before, I'm sure, a pile of white and black stones. Whenever they noticed a negative thought, negative intention going through their mind, then they'd take one of the black stones and start making a pile. And then whenever they had a particularly positive state of mind, love or compassion or this altruism, bodhicitta would arise, and they take one of the white stones and make a pile with them. And they noticed that at first the pile of black stones would be very big compared to the pile of white stones every day. But as they watched their mind and meditated. Now, meditation, the word in Tibetan is the same as the word for familiarization or accustoming ourselves, gom. And so that's what meditation is really all about. We're used to more negative states of mind, and meditation is intended to get us more accustomed to positive states of mind. So as meditate and the quality of the intentions would improve, then eventually they'd notice that there would be an equal pile of black and white stones by the end of the day. And as they became more proficient in meditation, finally there would end up being only white stones at the end of the day.
어디 다 들리시세네. 삼노땅거리 다 들리 인도 자네. 다 들리시는 거 좋은데. 땅 아주 산쇼그 심데라 랑가 니그 토네. 베나 다당 아주 벽은아니 아니 줌데맹아 된당 아니 다지 냠지 요지 빠데 아드샤당 아니 자세 좀 보시와라 이거 록 다 록소 니도 지유듯이.
So, for developing love and compassion, which is not necessarily in full force, we just have it or not. It can be developed, and there's two different methods for developing it in the Tibetan tradition. One that comes through Bodhisattva Shantideva, chik just in Shivala, right? And so through the master Shantideva came the method that's called equalizing and exchanging of self with others. And then through another master, Atisha, there came a method that's called the sevenfold cause and effect meditation.
다들 아주 가래 되네요. 냠내시 저거 요리시 배나 좀 되면아 된다이나 다 당보 가서 다 심신 탐지 열이동 와지 열이동 와 랑그 제베 열이동 왔던데 지랑 거 볼라 삼로 당고도 자네 다 파체 그 마셔야 돼. 다 별거 안 주나네 마셔야 돼. 배 개침벌 써요. 근데 이제 자네 다 심지 참아 많이 받지 봐. 다들 많아지. 참아 지 봐. 삼바. 거든이 좀 많이 되는 거 이러시.
So we can use either of these methods that feels that is useful for us, or both. And with the sevenfold cause and effect meditation, what we do to begin with is to cultivate a perspective, an attitude towards other living beings such that they are very, very dear to us. Cultivate this feeling of closeness to all living beings regardless. And we take the example of the mother, because in our culture of Tibet, the mother is seen as so precious and loved. And so taking that as the example, and we cultivate that kind of cherishing attitude towards all living beings as a practice.
Marshibas. Malad so some down Madewa young, Kashich, Manga dry Dama is here, and the Chadiga, and the Gina, and Cheranzo's Kavala Gayuna, Bella Gayuna, Pepomola Gayuna, so she year Karina, Telesamotanjo, sitting Gorizona.
Now, if we feel personally that our mother is our worst enemy or something like that, then we can use another example. Whoever, someone that we feel very, stably close to, and expand that feeling of affection towards all living beings.
Marshibas, that didn't bas, that mad, someone called Sadu, and a mad garden and the Janguba. That did Lolo Kokora, marking us on Dapo Major Yabaina, not on Hamoni Mushetem Nanny, Pugomanja Ganson, not a Shetane, Layo Maro. Mark Shai to Lejar, and in the Matne. That in a Mambushia, out at the chain, and in Gasota, you mess in the Gamba Tolatone. Some not adding one jumbo in our go boy in Archie, the instance and Garanga, Poak, Majakun Road, so the Karit in the Cardin Karit in the Yongosina, Mark a Cardin Tine, and Jumbo Chari, Mark a Cardin Tine, and Alzipucharva.
So, following on with the meditation on all beings as like one's mother, or being one's mother, then we think about the kindness that we received from our mother. And the fact of the matter is, for us to be here today, we wouldn't even be here if our mother hadn't taken us, taken care of us, had completely neglected us. We would have already died many times. And the fact that we're here today as a functioning human being, we may think, oh, I'm such and such, I'm like this and that, I'm so independent and self-sufficient, but we don't think about how we got here, how we came into this world, how we were brought up to be able to learn to talk and eat and get educated and everything. That it's thanks to our parents, thanks to our mother, that we can be a functioning human being. So if we really think about that, it's good to be aware of the full bigger picture.
And it's a Marishibas. That the Mata, the Malang, Kanditiva, Tinanji, and it's simply Tamala, Mayimba. That Chanyongun, Tanyongun, and the Jagonta.
And so we contemplate that, to have a sense of great gratitude, and we extend that to all living beings, feeling that when they were our mother, and they received the same kind of kindness from them. So we develop this equanimity, which feels equally full of gratitude and warmth to all living beings.
That didn't embarrass it, didn't but didn't had to, and it didn't so as yet. That Malatin Zosia. The Rasa, oh, Mark, I didn't Jimbo is you young to go Malawata. Malatin Zosin. Malakandising, Achitava Malatin Zosin, Chiransu. That shaps to see Malachita, Robashi, Chitendesia. That they got the chicken at dinner, and it seems to Malatin, sometimes.
And the next step in the meditation is to want to return that kindness. if we'd received great kindness, it wouldn't be very appropriate to just say, "Oh, that was very nice, thank you," not do anything in return. So just as we would help our mother by carrying things or whatever, think about returning that kindness to all living beings.
말치바 딘딘바 딘조아시 아니 다 된대지 삼는 거자데 네 영그 삼바세야데 삼바세야데 심진 담지 다 내와도 디나 삼바 나랑 다들 같이 삼는 거들 나랑 그 파다 나랑 그 마다 나 주세봐 나랑 그 빈자다 솔라 야보 종나 삼바 아니 인도 지든데 라바드지 드라다 소소라 마가사요나 콜라 독자지 소나 콜라 좀 마시와지 소나 된대지 삼는 거고요 된대지 많이 봐 심진 참아 내와다 디나 랑그 마나지 말레테와 가르치 용거래 대와 가르치 딩고나 디나지 심지 참아라 내와다 디나 지 마롱 삼바 된대지 그 로슈 침보 용야 되라니 삼바.
And from there, the next step is to move into meditation on love, cherishing love for living beings very strongly, having the same kinds of affection and love for beings, just as we would, just as we do for our mother.
그래. 심지담지 대화되는 게 말아온 삼바. 아니 다당 같이 가르 삼고 이러시나 나랑 그 파, 나랑 그 마, 나랑 주지 발라 야보凶的 삼바. 아니 매진바당 뜻이고 다형띠 거기 파. 지. 아니 라바드 매지간 드라트 시콜라 콜라 좀 마시 버지 손나. 콜라 치치 용의 삼바. 그래요. 야.
So we focus on how would we return the kindness? What do these beings want? Happiness. And so we focus on them receiving the happiness, being endowed with that happiness. We focus right on the wish for their happiness. And so normally, this kind of wish that we might have in our mind is not pervasive, it's not universal. We'll feel, it would be really nice if my family, my parents, my mother and so on were fine. But others, we don't have the same feeling, and if there was someone we really didn't like, we might even have different wishes for them. Wish something bad would happen to them, or so not being like that. But here, focusing so that it's equal, and universal to all living beings, having simply the wish for their happiness, and then holding that attitude, that love in one's mind.
삼바. 아니 hinjis해야 돼. 동해가 날들이 심지라 양 미사게. 동해 날들이 심지 만보지 요러와. 아주 맥힌 통살다 다다 미나나. 다지. 만보지 동해 무슨 냥들 근데 만보지 요라. 어디 지 된로다 말아서 봐. 근데 맥힌 통사다. 만통사 라서 봐. 근데 거 차창 아니. 디 동할 때나 자나 삼바. 랑라 동할 만도와. 랑라 동할 무슨도 시에 막고 와라. 동할 무슨도 용나 다 시에 막고 와라. 내가 요 말대. 동할 맹상 암초로 고쳐고 요 말이. 빼는 내 독자던데 지게 지 맹람되잖아. 삼삼다지요. 내가 주니 먹었어야 돼. 지코랑 근데 지금 아주 단진데 슈침보고 공부왕도 숨도잖아. 나라 간듯이 기본적인 거다. 나라 간데 대화 건도. 나라 간데 동안 문도 받지 가는 거다. 다 대나신 심지는 지어지네. 동해도 나들이 심지 대나나. 아니. 동해도 자는게 말하고. 그 잘리도 탑시 간듯이 지고나. 지 지조나 내 지긴 삼바. 근데 지고니. Then
we move on to the next stage of the meditation of compassion. So compassion is for beings who are tormented. So we focus on how living beings are tormented by suffering, and we bring up a strong wish for them to be free of that suffering. So beings are just like ourselves. They don't want suffering. And we need to reflect on our own experience to understand it. Not to mention, we have direct suffering, pain. It's obvious. We don't like that, don't want it. But even to just hear about sufferings, or to hear an angry name or something aimed towards ourselves, it's so painful, and to just know that within ourselves how much pain there is, and especially the more self-centered we are, the more self-importance we feel, and the more suffering we have from even the smallest slight. So realizing that that's how it is for all living beings. They undergo so much suffering, and wanting them to be free of that suffering, and also bringing up within ourselves the intention to take responsibility wherever we can, and in our attitude universally to want to liberate all living beings, to free beings from suffering, feeling I will do that, and so to bring the compassion to a very strong level.
다 던데지게 삼바다 hinji 다 대라 아니 다 로다 다와 다 망보지 삼노당 리티콜라다 삼 hinji 시나다 다 다티티 코테데 신의 검잡네 랑치 번진바데 다조 도도시나 랑치 번진바데 준다다 랑치 번진에 다 받은 코알란 차바 대중이 바하고 핀베삼바 대와이 뇌베삼바 동아이 랑글룰라 빼롱나 인라뇌바 마시지 송도와 핀베삼바 대와이 송유리 내가 그 대와다 마신 타토그 대와이 조부 산지가 공방 토고요나야 핀생 코나 삼바다 힌지 니드니 산지다 산지 숨바나야 니드니 산지 바리
무슨 나는 그래서인데 고네 뭐 무슨 들어와
핀베삼바 대와이
네가 고소네 롱드라바데 얘네 안 되냐 딩엘라 가르스네
다 내다 라비야 네 딩도 I forget he also forget should 딩도 해
그냥 mumble 좀 들어와
네 mumble 심이야
튼튼 쓰는 데
아니
that's okay so da yabu drink shot. Okay, so this is the kind of procedure to follow for developing love and compassion, and the kind of basic perspective we can keep in the back of our mind is remembering that the more self-centered we are, the more self-concern, the more self-importance, the more selfish we are, the more suffering we'll experience. And on the other hand, the more love and care and consideration we can manifest for others, then the happier we'll be. And so this is just the basic principle of it as a guideline for our development. And so there's a verse in Tibetan.
란지반 진바데 준 인지반 진바데 윤데 대인데 자네 핀베사와 삼바 대와이 네베삼바 동해이 랑글르레 빼롱라 yina neba marzi jik.
So the verse says, when we're benefited, we're happy. When we're harmed, it's painful. Taking our own body as an example, don't bring harm to others. Okay, so just seeing that this is the way, this is the basic principle. So likewise, the Master Atisha.
Jiti dewa chini pa, dekung yinden de lesson. Dokung donghe chini pa, dekung randen de lesson. Mangdu xieta chi gu, xipe randun si pa tang, tebe yinji dun xe pa, 내 니진의 제발듯이 나대 ndeshe yabu tamna dela deni chine chebar tu sia de chebar tu sia de chekte kanele sina sanje ran jiban jiba de le dang yin jiban jiba de dang de lang ne sanje shin de ji nga ran jiban jiba de dang de lang yin jiban jiba de yawal to ne ani da bardo khowalan chamne donga ju ma che ba nyong de ya de 디 체발 될 때 있다 뒤측대.
And as
된대셔야 보자라.
just in Shiwala.
Shiwala.
And as Master Shantideva says also that all happiness in the world comes from altruism. All suffering comes from selfishness. Just look at sentient beings who seek their own happiness, and compared to Buddhas who seek only the happiness of others. So the sense of this is that we who just are always focused on our own happiness, our own self, what happens with that is that we just wander forever seeking it without ever finding it, whereas Buddhas who have reversed it, who've given up that selfishness and have completely dedicated themselves to the welfare of others, have attained complete liberation and bliss in a completely different position. So just to see that this is the result of these two respective kinds of attitudes.
Atene indicane, atikola, Yurimbo, Gilaterish, Comjap, Samatang, the Neji Sevaina, any Sancho Simsiate, any Kansam Gini. The Jimde Menga Dunganani Tama Sancho Simsiate. Marishi Patin, Timpatin, Zoa Yong, Sampate Ninja, any Laxam Siat, that Laxam, any Sancho Simsiate, you rich. Laxam Siat,
by persevering in this meditation, for weeks, months, years, then it transforms our mind into love and compassion, and into eventually into this state of mind called bodhicitta, which is the highest universal altruism dedicated to the welfare of all living beings, dedicated to the enlightenment of all living beings.
Tati sanjog semde kadu chenaya kap de tela tanga chutada toni ktawas tombani siate tanga chu sanje siachi lo jilas tadanga chu sanje siate sacha yimba chita 신함 yimba chila yu samne sowa tap mona jak yu sanje siate sane yimba chila zawani ne yomari sanje siate ngachu sing tola ye demani ngachu sing tola yu 남이 산적의 셈데 아주 길 값을 뒤니 못해라 다 산적 셈이 난다 돈이 그 나와도 뒤니 뭐 동반이 그 돼도 또 소해.
Okay, so when we realize that enlightenment mind in an ultimate way, then we realize our enlightenment, or big steps on the way to our enlightenment. Now, when we think about enlightenment, or a Buddha, we may think it's in some far-off place, some far distant place, that we're praying to the Buddha who's a long way off. But in fact, the Buddha is not a long way off. The Buddha is present in our own mind. And when we have this realization of ultimate bodhicitta, in which we realize our ultimate nature, then at that point we realize Buddha within.
주랑라 돈이 그 따와 은혜 산적 셈 마다다 주랑 그 돈담바 돈바니 돈이 그 따와 유리 제거유나 산적 셈에나 돈이 그 따와 뭐지송이 그러지 산적 그 생그 장내 돈이 그 따와 제거유.
Now, to be able to understand this ultimate nature of our own being requires this kind of altruism, it is said. Say that if you don't have this kind of universal altruism, you won't be able to realize it. So it's only with this complete dedication to the happiness of all living beings that we can realize that ultimate nature of our own mind, our own being.
다들 저지 받야듯이 맞 저지 받야듯이 좀되면아 등게 토니 아니 사적 생건방 nendodu.
So this is a brief explanation then of how one goes about developing highest love and compassion by the method of the sevenfold cause and effect lineage that was taught by the master Atisha.
난 이바데 다 가래 되네 저나 저거 이바데 아니 저세 진보 시와라게 로고 대화 다다 공도 시바나 이 단 로고 대화 진입한테 그동안 되셨다 랑게 기반 진바데 아니 yin 기반 진바데 아니 용된라 존네 아니 다랑 동해면 돼봐 랑 대화도 돼봐 내지 거유 됐잖아 심지 참말라 다 내지게 거네 로장네 다 나이 냠제셔야 돼.
The other method, which is option to focus on, that of Master Shantideva, is, as I mentioned before, it's primarily basically that principle that all suffering comes from selfishness, all happiness comes from altruism. And so by thinking about that over and over and becoming very aware of that fact, and then gradually equalizing and exchanging the self-concern that we have into concern for others, and the neglect of others that we feel to neglect our own selfishness, and to go about doing making this exchange.
담보 나신냐 발라삼노당 당아란 다다 드니신데 나신냐 바삼삼노 당트나 야보도와 맞아 나신냐 바삼노 당트고요 말이 나지 지와도 파야돼 다 드니 그거니 공도시바 난시 차당 랑솔 차 잉솔 당 내지 그거니 내석이 다 내지 많이 봐다 나신냐 바지 삼노 당트나 야보도와 심지 차마 대완돼 봐.
So on the way to this kind of exchange, it's difficult to jump into that just complete reversal. We'll pass through an equalization, which would be good, wouldn't it? Normally we have a very unbalanced attitude, like I was mentioning before, where we're really attached to our own happiness and don't care about others. So first of all, to develop an attitude which at least considers others' happiness and welfare of equal importance, to care about it equally as our own.
아니 다신 냠바텔라 다른 매지는 곰네 양 곰네 근데 곰데를 값을 아니 다신 지와셔야 되라. 다 랑게 동해 랑게 고살라 매지 고살라 랑신 다 무슨 다신 지와라서 봐.
Then as we get more experience in that and more accustomed to thinking about the welfare of others, then we can go about making the exchange, really putting ourselves in the place of others.
아니 대를 매진데 야 곰니까 아니 나를 인지해야 돼. 아니 지 야윈 돕지 뭐가 아니 랑 끝이야. 아니 무슨 지 끝이야 된 대신에 따라 따모라 아니 지마당는 된 세상이와.
And eventually you can transform into the complete reversal where we cherish others by ourselves. And it can even get to the point where we're willing to give our own body and flesh for the sake of others.
다 매망보지가 삼농 거거요래 가르시네 지 심지 참말라 삼바다 hin지 공고요지 막하실을 빼 말아 독자 근데 누가 삼산다지 할롱원은 차가요지.
Now some people might think, why should I develop love and compassion for all living beings? There are some beings that are just really negative, that are very nasty.
But in
fact, those are the people that are worthy of the greatest compassion.
Korang Machizamina Madukaji Chayumara, Ko Amani Machizamina, Ko Maduka Imbe Chawayuma. Kaisina Kochi New Mumbaki Yiman Sona, Ko Maduka Siate, Sambangimba, Marap, Sambangimbe Gila, and Joa, Lutanga. Takanda Jamadi Doka Chara. Then this and the teachings of the Kawatonusina, New Mumbe Yiman Sona Kanzajidwa.
Because this person, is not originally bad. We think about, how they came to be that way, the way they're acting is because of being influenced in different ways and developing negative kinds of attitudes, being under the control of bad attitudes, delusions. So if we look for what is really the problem, it's those negative states of mind that have turned them in a bad direction. It's not that they are just originally bad out of their mother's womb.
Koran hinji na hinji Koran kanza pumbo nge khurkhurdele kanza mingji trahi seya da ta mingji yura de Koran na khongtho sana nga chu kupare da nga chu lobjong yu ba ko ma chu samba da hinji yu sin ko ma chu ware Koran kanza de nga khongtho sa ho sin na ta khoi hinji jesa de Koran ke kumjong de ba nyumong ko wa mi de song ne nyumong be yiwan da song ba akha Koran humayan dendechi cha, dayang dende maung palaya, ta nyumong ke dendechi goni ko dendechi de, ta sambachi Koran ke jule yupe nyumong batera, sewe jula me bani, ninji chimbo chi china, ta ninji chesa goma terwa.
So if we get angry or hateful towards a person like that, then it shows a lack of learning on our part as far as understanding the Dharma. Because from the Dharma point of view, we feel compassion for them, seeing that they're caught up in this vicious cycle, that they're habituated to this kind of thinking, this kind of acting, and experiencing the painful results of that. And so that's how it's so difficult for them to break out of that. And so in that way, to feel compassion for them, feeling that it's these delusions, it's this ignorance and afflicted states of mind that are tormenting them, and so to feel compassion for them.
Ori ta kang tar chang sabada hinji seya de nangbu chuge ngachi pepe nan chuge nani ta zo ndaw de cha de ri ani jean ji me che na sabada hinji yo na che sma chi mando na ya chen de la yang ani zhuo mambo yo ba me ge gao ji ba ani yu long chu ba me ba jing zan be le xib de la so ba de ne xie ge de ne go yo na ya sabada hinji go yo.
So love and compassion are the very essence of Tibetan Buddhism. And even if we don't, and so they will provide for us in the future lives, even if we don't accept or don't understand the existence of past and future lives. Even in this life, it will be very beneficial for us to develop. The results will be more harmony, more good relations with others, even in this lifetime.
So if you
want to have a lot of friends, then really the best way is to become the friend of all living beings with this universal love, compassion, bodhicitta.
That's some of the Yarwala country don't hear Yadala country that this is called Pomunjur Mindis and a came along that mean and a Kangachi, around the Duxa. Kandamambochi. Tiko and the Samotana, Narang Kangatu, most of people go to just a jack or a Kayula, young sing that the Chakadua. Chick Narangi, the Chapin, the Nibataya Lasso, but the Namayan Pachi, Kangachi in the Capsa, Sancho, Sim Chuksa Chigomna, Kayula, Pinto.
And even for healing, bodhicitta is the most powerful. We might think to do some kind of service or ritual for healing, recitation of mantras or something like that, but actually much more effective is the universal compassion of bodhicitta, for even a moment to develop this kind of vast altruism has a very purifying and healing effect. It's much more useful. It's much better service. It's a better service to us.
산지에다 산초선바세 대야 대수고들라지 파탕카나나 디나 지우가라 쪽도당 샤블랑 콜로당 직단 라면다지 여러와 진상보 숨지 손이다 벨지상보 제게 라소파 시야여데 된듯이나 산초그 센텔레 마도 요 말이지 산초그 센텔레 세게 요리지 산지에다 산초선바세야 돼요 근데 송도와
So
when
we think of Buddhas, we think of how they look, the different marks and signs of an enlightened being, the Shanisha crown protrusion, and so on. But in actuality, the real nature of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas is this bodhicitta. It's this universal altruism.
산초 심지주나 깨지 고주나 담배 냠타나 대신 남자 세지 유자히 이제 라mer집에 삽산저르시네 산초 심지주나 깨지 산초 심때 지나 깨지 찍라 수주라 산초 세요나 대 산초 선발이 송도와 대 산지리지 대 산초 선발이 마도 대래 라삭지 원래 쪽도 샤랑 콜로진지 요 말이지 수주라 산초 선발 지난주 주라 산초 선발 요나야 산지다 산초 선반한테 치란조라 산차게지 치란조 산초 선반 동세리지 그래서도와
So as Shantideva said, that the instant any living being caught in the prison of samsara, of develops this bodhicitta, this universal altruism, they become worthy of homage by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So that is the essence of what it means to become a Buddha, is to develop this kind of universal altruism, not the images of a Buddha. Buddha said that's the one. That's where I will pay homage. Is the one who develops this kind of universal altruism.
내가 찾으세요 와. 그래서 들어가는 차송 아니 이 유거든이 나랑 그 남주 오바 그 냠내식이 아니 지난주 때 막 강랑 간사 망보지 랩이었대라 지난주라 나게 오바 그 니바 오 아미 대바 쇠시야 디 니바도 마 롱징매 내가 때에 필요서 쇼더와.
So that completes our main topic. Now I focus a lot on the practice of Buddha Amitabha, who's pictured in this tanka, the red Buddha. And because there are many here to receive these instructions this evening, I thought it would be good to give the transmission of Buddha Amitabha's mantra. So I want to do it in special honor of there being quite a number of people here tonight. So repeat after me the mantra. Okay, so first of all, I'll say it a little bit so you can hear me say it, and then I'll have you repeat it. Maybe you can't repeat it until you hear it from the first. Danda Jinda Jegore. Danda Jinda Jegore.
다다 지고 말다 걔만 녹이다.
No, don't repeat yet.
Lamatin Bajom, the Shibata Jumaya, Nabazu, Sanjin Gombo, Badami Bala, some Zalon Jodo Jasum Jail. Lamatin Bajum, the native Shibata Jumbayan, Nabazu, Sanjin Gombo, Badami Bala, some Zalon Jodo Jasum Jail. Lamatin Bajom, the native Shibata Jumbayan, Nabazu, Sanjin Gombo, Badami Bala, some Zalon Jodo Jasum Jail.
Okay, now repeat after me.
Om Ami.
Om Ami.
Deva Shi.
Dewa Shi.
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 Om Ami Deva Shi.
Om Ami Dewa Shi.
Om Ami Deva Shi.
Om Ami Dewa Shi.
Om Ami Deva Shi.
Om Ami Dewa Shi.
That take long series, long seate, Ngak Lama Tang, Ngak Zava Lama, Lama Juba Yuri, did Lama Juba Chansoma, London Yuri, any ngay London Casa Chansoke, Tangala, Nga Chansokata, Sanjo Bami, Kondaji, the Legisama Downton and Dege. Dege Tukani, any on Ami Devasina, Ngak Chingwate, Ngakai and Mayong. On Ami Devasho, on Ami Devasho, on Ami Devasation. Chirans am sure than a Marlem. I'm sure the payment Dama Jit, the legit Casse Devaji. Any Chirans Ninkala, any on Ami Devasation, Argent Cology, or some passe, Colocotola. Adangachi, Ninka Chujan Colosseati Tola. Any the on Ami Devashin, Drute, any User Carpoca, Tupa Naji, Tupa Japa Naji Ma. Chirans Ninkel, on Ami Devashatilla, Timsung Samba. Oh, the Niji sound not down, Yaboyulis.
So this is called the transmission of the mantra. It's a transmission to you from me of the mantra that I've received from my master and all the way back through the lineage. And when you receive it, you can visualize that the mantra comes, that you can see me as Buddha Amitabha, this looking like this Buddha, and the mantra coming out of my mouth in syllables, a garland of syllables that then comes into your mouth, or no, excuse me, comes into your ear. You can visualize your ear as a lotus, an 8-petaled lotus, and the mantra going into your ear, and the stem of the lotus coming down to your heart, and that when the mantra reaches lotus, it turns into white nectar that then drips down through the stem of the lotus, filling your heart. And so this is a kind of visualization that's done when you receive this transmission of the mantra.
That Nyamdo any Sanjik, Goisalap, Sungusalap, Tujisalap, any Ngala Salaps, Yona, Nagachi, Goisalap, Songasalap, Tujisalap, Chatanga, Nyamdo, Lama the Yadam Nikasong, Kosong Tukusalap, Chatanga, the Charansolama, Timsong Samba.
And you feel that all the blessings of body, speech, and mind, Buddha Amitabha, any blessings that I have, also flowing into you. If I had any blessings for you to receive, then you would receive those the same way. So now let's visualize like that, but recite some of the mantra together now.
Ami Deva Shi, Ami Deva Shi, Ami Deva Shi, Ami Deva Shi, Ami Deva Shi.
Amen.
that day again, I should train you. You just say, and it's around the Travan or do you know. Try out what in there.
So we'll conclude our session here this evening. If anyone has a question, we might be able to briefly take the questions. On the mantra, you mean?
No, I mean in whatever she speaks. She said it like a bunch of times.
Zunga.
I think it means like it means like intentions or something.
No, kunlong, zunga. It could be mantra maybe. Zunga means
Zunga, yeah.
Mantra.
Yeah. Zunga is mantra. Oh, Amidevashe. This is a mantra. Amidevas mantra. Okay.
When can we do this again?
The Yankee Adeu check it is.
Correct.
Chutun. Don't I need to Yankee? Some grow.
That I sketch the hardy the contract for you did what patch next month 15th. Right?
So yeah, you can ask Heidi for about the schedule or someone else from the from his group about it. But basically, this is bi-weekly at the moment. So every other week, it's happening here.
So we're having a little bit of a break because of July 4th weekend, so it'll be a little later in the month.
So when is the next date?
The schedule is next week.
Well, why don't we make an announcement while everyone's listening?
Any Tadang actually Nimbaden, Norduchi, Nathan Chiranso Martin, the Cherish, any Chiranso, Deva Yuna, that hardy the constant Devachi and Etila Devasi Satellite, email that in the Yata, any constant Devachi, any Naso Zadawatapa Reshila, any Kamel, Tadati, David Kambanang, any Gonda Chusu to past 6 o'clock. Derangachi, Tadati, that show a Jeba din and Tagu this.
Friday, so Friday the 15th, Dhammasam, and then the 29th of July, so 2 dates in July. And also everything is listed on Rinpoche's website, Khenpo Karten.
KH.
All the schedules are listed on there, and also how to get in contact with us.
And so then Rinpoche said that if you are interested in hearing more, then please give your contact information to someone to be in touch for when there's more happening. And every Monday nights, we always meet at Debbie Lenz's house on Hatton Road, corner of Hatton and Martin. Monday nights at 6:30. Carmel. Yeah. And there it's a more extensive practice of Buddha Amitabha that is done every Monday night.
Yeah. Anything did it. That made and it's that Sani goes on there. Yama Pachi Josicilanga, any such a Yimbachila, I'll get some dead any. And the Yogins.
Isn't Shenyin Kyame?
Sanning under you marry. Sanning goes on Yama Chulanga, Tandila, you marry. Any Zadawa, Jimizadawala, Ngati, Amitabha Sopala, you marry. The day the Tane, and Yama Josicini Machi, you me, and Yama Jun Chant against.
But these next couple of Mondays I won't be there, however, Rinpoche says, because Rinpoche is going to go for a personal retreat of 10 days. But he'll be back here in 15th, whenever that is. But starting now, Rinpoche is going to be doing a retreat, meditation retreat for 10 days, someplace else.
Yeah. Any? That day, I去巴黎，去西巴黎，我从这人准备啊，我兄弟，我讲到西巴南京的，但就当个个呢去谁的？去打人呢，安我谁的？去人呢，这个连都别开心不了。我从这人准备的，我是竞争东看了，我来demo打呀的，等你去的做嘛的， 다 공도시바 난시리 공롱삼바 장부치랑 추니리 내 공롱삼바 장부 추시리 디 추니 셰셰리 게사데 아 마시 게탄네 받침보지 같이 사차요리 뒤수 통통리도 게탄네 받침보지 사차요리 다때 모아시야데 게침보리 얘는 가서 모아마도 인시.
So now, when we do some kind of spiritual practice, it's very important to immediately make a dedication of the positive energy that was created. Remembering that, again, it was not just for no reason that we came together here just to watch a show or something like that, but with these special intentions, and with that kind of special intention, teaching and listening to Dharma, it creates an incredibly positive potential, which we need to harness and send and preserve in the particular direction that we do it by making this dedication now.
모아시야데야 랑조 마인바 공도사바 장부치 꾸농거 값스 사다바 난시 심자 침비고네 나고 타다냐베 심지 탄지 내와데 딘바 동하다 나와 대 동하데 잘리 탑시 빼샤크시야 요 말이 강박크시야 요 말이 모라즈포나 동하이사야 요 말이 다치 빼샤한데 요는 내가 그 대와치 민강라 지야다다 딘득들이 거리면서 타속게 대와든 같이 다치 셈 주주 다운네 셈 코란 거 돈이 로고에 있잖아요. 당가지 모남 자야리 대인도 자네는 모남 차려 잡쇼시.
Okay, so set the intention for this dedication in the same way as we set the intention, very vast, altruistic intention for the happiness of living beings and their freedom from suffering.
가르쳐 야지 소에. 아니 내가 그 대화한다지 나와 내가 그 대화한테 민항나 지야데 빼샤다.
Okay, and to remember that how does that happiness come? Through internal transformation. You know, that it doesn't come through external means of money. I mean, money can buy things temporarily to give some comfort, you know, but real happiness, sustainable happiness, comes from this inner transformation. And so this is what we're praying for. This is the direction we're sending it for, praying for ourselves and all living beings to be able to accomplish the inner transformation that brings happiness. Let's make the dedication prayer.
Okay, the dedication prayer now. The other sheet that you have. You can look on. I know that we're quite
Oh yeah. Any that has on any time. Zimjana, the Mambo Shivich, any where go show.
Thank you so much for coming, all of you, tonight. Really happy you came.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.